Hello there. My name is Craig Hain. My math students call me Dr. Dell. And this video is about the subject of what I call tribes. Now, a tribe, by my definition, is a group of human beings, sapiens, I like to call them, that have a shared set of beliefs that they share, and more importantly, a shared set of behaviors they engage in, and they work together. Now, a tribe can be very small, very medium-sized, very large. As a matter of fact, you as a human being are a member of tribes, many tribes in the course of your life. If you live a long life, as I have lived, a pretty long life, you're going to find out more about it. You can become the member of many tribes or a guest to a tribe. Now, if you are a member of a tribe or a guest to the tribe, as long as you engage in the behaviors that that tribe approves of and perhaps insists on, you're going to be fine. You get along fine with it. You might share a set of beliefs, and sometimes they're written down, sometimes they're just understood. In fact, sometimes there's unwritten beliefs that they don't even write down. That's okay. That's up to you whether you believe them or not. But the behavior is what counts. Now, the facts of the matter are, I'm sure you know, that as you live your life, you take a lot of actions. And every action you take has consequences. Some are short term, some are long term, medium term. Some are consequences that once they happen, you like them, and some, once they happen, you don't like them. In fact, a huge problem in life is you can do an action that has a short-term consequence that's really nice, but a long-term consequence is really bad. And if you think you're going to live very long, you're going to want to focus on, hey, the future, what's going to happen if I do this today and I feel good today, but what if now, a week from now or a year from now, it's going to make me feel bad? And those are decisions you have to make. Now, the problem we all have, I've had this all my life, and you've got it too, is knowing what will be the consequences of specific actions you take. And I've observed this with myself and with many people I've known all my life. I've known lots and lots of people. We take actions that we don't really understand the consequences, and sometimes that works out good, and sometimes it works out bad. So what I've tried to do is I formed a new tribe that I'm going to invite you, maybe, I'll tell you what it takes to be in it, to become a member of. Think of yourself as a member or a guest, either one. It won't cost you very much to be a member. It costs you something. It's not free. Nothing's free in this world, by the way. If somebody tells you something's free, they're lying to you. You got to pay something. It may not be money, but it'll be something else that'll cost you. I don't care what it is. Don't ever fall for the idea that, oh, well, I can join this tribe for free. Now, I will say this, tribes have different names. I use the word tribe for this group of people with shared beliefs. Sometimes a tribe is called a club, okay? Sometimes it's called a church. Sometimes it's called a business. A business is a tribe of people doing something. Sometimes it's called an army. Armies are groups of people that have a set of rules they have to follow. Forget the beliefs now. The rules are what are counting in an army. And if you follow the rules, you'll do well in the army. If you don't, you'll get booted out of the army, perhaps put in jail, and so on. Now, when you're born into a tribe. It's your family. And there's good families and there's bad families. And by the way, there's every tribe you have has usually in every tribe what I call the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the beautiful in every tribe. Now, that's just the nature of who we are and what we are. And so I've tried all my life to either join or be a guest of a tribe that had a lot of good, a lot of beautiful, and not so much bad or ugly. Now, there's some tribes that, to me, are just loaded with bad and ugly and very little good or beautiful, and I avoid those tribes. You need to avoid tribes that you feel are not, have a lot of good and beauty in them, in my view. It's up to you. I am not going to, when you join my tribe, that I'm going to tell you about in just a minute, the whole point of my tribe is to teach you things you need to know about actions and consequences, so that you, when you're in a tribe, you can decide what actions to take and get the consequences you would like to get. That's the biggest challenge in your life, by the way, is deciding what actions you should take to get the consequences you want. Now, I'm not going to tell you what you should want in life, what consequences you should want. That's something you have to decide what you want. But I am going to try to teach you what consequences will come from specific actions you take. And this is something I've learned over many, many decades. And I've learned it from my life experiences in many, many different tribes. Now, I'm going to share the screen with you very briefly, and then I'll come back and talk more about my experiences. The tribe I'm going to invite you to join is called the Triad Math Tribe, TMT for short. Now, Triad Math is a company that I am the CEO of, and we teach mathematics at the post-elementary level to people that speak English. It's all done in English, all the way from the most practical basic math, which will empower you to get a job in any technical field, all the way up through the math you need for science and engineering and calculus and differential equations. And the tools that you have today. In fact, what makes my program so unique is I use tools today that none of the regular programs that the high schools are teaching use. In fact, I wrote a book recently called How and Why Public School Math is Destroying the USA. And if you are a young adult, particularly if you're in middle school or high school, the math alone is something you're going to want. And if you join this tribe, as you're going to learn, you'll have access to all my math training very inexpensively. And I'll tell you more about it as this video goes on. This is going to be a long video. And so I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learn from it. If you're in a hurry, though, just go to triadmathinc.com/TMT. And that, by the way, is a link below this video that you're on. And go there and join the Triad Math Tribe. You'll find out you'll have 30 days to test it out and see if you like it. And if you don't like it, you get your money back. So it didn't cost you anything to join it for 30 days. And you ought to be able to get a lot out of it in 30 days. Now, the question would be, who is this tribe for? So I'm going to go back and quit sharing the screen. And then I'll come back and share the screen a little bit later on and tell you some more about what you're going to get. I've created this tribe for what I consider young adults. Everything I do is in English. That's what I talk. I don't speak any other languages. So everything I do is in English. So you need to understand English. Unless, of course, you get a tool that will translate the English into your language. And if you can do that, fine. Technology is wonderful today, but all I think I'm going to do is in English. And you need to be an adult that wants to improve your life. You want to make your life better all the time than it is. I've been doing that all my life. All my life, I've been trying to learn things to improve my life. Now, some things I've learned from reading books from very wise people. Other things I've had mentors that have given me advice, and I've been very fortunate. Other things I've learned what I call the hard way. I make an action that has a consequence I really dislike intensely, but I didn't know it was going to do that. And wow, look what that action did. And I talk a lot about that. So in the Triad Math Tribe, you're going to learn from me all sorts of actions and their consequences. By the way, I call that wisdom. Wisdom to me is understanding what will be the consequences of some action you take. And then you can decide whether you want those consequences or not. If you want the consequences, take the action. If you don't want the consequences, don't take the action. And if you want to kill yourself, there are different ways to do it and have different consequences the way it happens. Well, choose the one that has the consequence you want. I just use that as an extreme, horrible example. Most of us want to have a good life. And I'm going to assume most of you want to have a good life idea. What does that mean? You want to have plenty of food to eat, good shelter, good family, good friends, all the money you need to do the things you want to do. I call it financial freedom. And you may be like me, I wanted adventures in my life. And that's one reason why I've been in so many tribes. I wanted adventures. I'm not saying you should. Some people don't want adventures. They want a very stable, secure life. I wanted a life with lots of adventures. And that's one reason I've had so many experiences and I've learned so much. And I've acquired what I consider to be a great deal of wisdom, certainly compared to what I had when I was younger. And I'm going to be sharing that with you. Now I'm going to go back and share the screen a little bit. I'm doing this kind of off the cuff, as it were. So I'm going to share the screen with you. And when you go to the Triad Math Tribe, the first thing you can do is you can download a PDF if you want to, and I'm going to do that right now. And there's a video then that I do where I talk about this, what's on this PDF. I think it's a 16-minute video, and you should watch this video. This is going to tell you what you're going to get out of the tribe, this 16-minute video. So if you're interested at all in what I'm saying, go down and watch this video. Yeah, 16 minutes. Now, I'm also going to link you to another website. Originally, instead of the word tribe, I use the word army. Okay, because many tribes are engaged in some kind of warfare, not necessarily against other tribes, although that's often the case, but against the world they live in, the environment they're in. And so I also call it the Army, and I have a website now that is called the Triad Math Army. It's the same thing. To me, the tribe and the Army, same thing. But you can go here and learn even more about what you're going to get when you join. And there's another video here, and there's another PDF. And when you download that PDF, these are things you're going to learn when you join the Triad Math Tribe or Triad Math Army. I use the word tribe and army interchangeably. I could have called it a club, but I wanted to think, I didn't want to use the word club. I like the word army because I consider when you're in life, you're always fighting for a better life. Improving yourself is sort of like a fight in an army. So these are various training programs I've got now that you're going to get when you join the Army. How do you get financial freedom? What is money? A lot of people don't even really understand money. I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I guess I could say the beautiful too. Financial freedom. I'm going to teach you how you can get financial freedom. Again, I'm assuming now you are a young, reasonably healthy adult. You're reasonably intelligent. You're reasonably physically healthy. And then I can help you. Now, if you have severe mental or physical handicaps, I may not be able to help you. I don't know. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. And if you're older, that's okay. You can always improve your life. I've helped people that were in their 50s and 60s improve their life. But really the focus in my thinking of it is these are all things that I've learned myself, and I wish I'd have known all these things when I was a young adult. Actions have consequences. I mentioned that to you already. And understanding the consequences of specific actions is what I call wisdom. Now, we all have something we call intelligence. And by the way, that's a misunderstood term. There's all kinds of different intelligences. IQ tests are a bunch of bull, in my opinion. You know, all kinds of different intelligence. But intelligence is not wisdom. And in fact, I've known highly intelligent people that were very low in wisdom and had miserable lives. And what we also have then are our emotions. And that affects our actions. What's going to affect your action is your intelligence, your wisdom, and your emotions. And quite frankly, in certain areas, I have a pretty high degree of intelligence, I've been told. In specific areas, I'm very ignorant in some areas. I'm very low intelligence in some areas. But in some areas, I have high intelligence. That did not let me know what was going to happen. And I've made some decisions that took some actions that had very negative consequences. And that then gave me wisdom. Oh, don't do that again. Trivial example, here's a stove. a potbelly stove. Back in the old days, we had potbelly stove, burn coal in them. That's how we heated our houses. That's how old I am. And I would crawl, I was very young, I would crawl up to a stove and want to put my hand on it because I didn't know it was hot. I didn't know what heat meant, didn't know what burning. And I wasn't smart enough when I was really young. My intelligence wasn't enough to figure out, oh, hot stove, burn your hand. And so I crawled over to the stove and put my hand on it. I've got a scar on my hand. And that created wisdom. I go, oh, if you touch a hot stove, that's bad. It burns, it hurts, it takes a long time to heal, and it leaves you with a scar. I can't even bring my thumb out on this hand as far as the other one because of the scar. So I acquired the wisdom of not touching a hot stove the hard way. Now, wouldn't it have been nice if somebody had taught me, don't touch the hot stove, Craig, it'll burn your hand, and I had understood it, and then I wouldn't have touched it. And by the way, when that happened, that hurt my emotions a lot. I cried a lot. I suffered. I suffered for many days after that because it took a long time for that to heal. They had to bandage it. Then they'd have to take off the bandage. And oh, it was very painful. Okay, that's an trivial, well, I'll say a trivial example. It's an example. Habits and addictions. Now, we all have lots of habits and addictions. That's our life. We live our lives that way. I talk about that. And there's good habits and bad habits, good addictions, bad addictions. There's something called convex options. If you don't know what a convex option is, join the tribe and just learn about convex options. That one thing alone could have a profound impact on your future. I learned it the hard way. When I learned about convex options, and it has to do with the way you run your life and things you do. I have a whole training program on it. It's a video. These are all, by the way, videos. Really, they're audio. You can listen to them. And I explain it. By not understanding convex options, I went from being a rich man to bankruptcy. So it was a very expensive lesson I learned. And you're going to learn it for free if you only stay in for a month. Extrinsic and intrinsic motivators. We all are motivated by lots of things, extrinsic and intrinsic. You got to understand the difference. Which one should you be motivated by? Which motivators are you going to respond to? What's the idea of flow? There's a book called Flow. It's all about a mental condition you get in that is very desirable that I think that you want to know about. And you can read the book, but I tell you what it is. Your beliefs in your future. I actually think that your beliefs, what are they? And I'll tell you what they are and how to get them, how to change them, actually have a huge effect on your future. It did on mine. I learned when I was 10 years old from a mentor that my beliefs, and it's hard to shape your belief, how to do it. When you have a belief, that will affect your future. And it did it time after time after time after time. I had beliefs in things that were highly improbable. Even I believed they were improbable, but I believed they would happen, and they happened. And I'm going to give you lots of stories on that as I go on. Your tribes, you're going to be a member, more than likely, if you're like me, you're going to be a member or a guest of many, many tribes. And by the way, tribes change all the time. The tribe today is not going to be the same as a tribe a year from now, or maybe even the tribe tomorrow. People come and go in tribes, tribes change. Your immediate tribe is your family. Your smallest tribe probably is you and your mother. And then if you have a father that's involved, you and your mother and your father, if you're lucky enough to have that. Well, I was. Some people aren't. But certainly you and your mother. Now, if you don't have a mother, if you're an orphan, maybe you're in an orphanage and that's your tribe. I don't know. Different people have different tribes. I think you're very fortunate if you can have a mother and a father both that love you and work and try to help you grow. I was fortunate about that. But my mom and dad, this was back during the war, were both working and they didn't have much time for me. And I had an aunt and an uncle that were older that were not involved in the war. And they sort of became a second set of parents to me. And they were probably more important for some years in my life than my real parents were, was my aunt and my uncle. I also had a set of grandparents that were very good for me. I actually had 3 sets of parents when I was young, growing up, because I was lucky. The rules you live by, you're going to find out as you go through your life that you have to figure out the rules you want to live by. Now, every tribe has rules. And some rules you might want to live by, some you don't. If you're a guest of a tribe, you got to live by their rules. I mean, you can't violate a rule. You don't have to believe in it, but you got to live by it. Or they'll kick you out of the tribe, or maybe punish you. There's certain tribes, if you violate certain rules, they kill you. I try to avoid tribes like that. I've been lucky. I live in the United States of America, in the middle of America, almost in the center of between the two mountain ranges, the center of America I live. And that's just where I was born there. That's where I was raised there. And I've lived there all my life. Now I've traveled all around the world. I've been lots and lots of places in the world, but this is where I live. One of the things that I think is extremely important in this day and age we live today, and I think it's always been important, but it's very important today, and that is learn to learn. The world is changing today so fast. The technologies are changing. Everything's changing. You have to learn and enjoy learning. Now, there's ways to learn and there's ways not to learn, and I teach you how to learn in a way that's enjoyable. It gets back to what are called intrinsic motivators. Very important. Getting into a condition called flow, very important. Every one of these now is a training video that you're going to get access to when you become a member. Learn to coach other people. Learn to coach. Coach yourself, coach other people. The more you help other people, the better it is. It's a wonderful life to coach other people. It helps you learn better yourself. In fact, a lot of things I haven't learned until I've taught someone else those things. That's particularly true in the field of mathematics. Most of the math I've learned, I learn it, but then I really learn it better when I teach someone. Learn to sell. Now, you may not like the idea of selling. We're all salesmen. You are a salesman, whether you like it or not. All your life, you're going to be selling something to someone. I don't necessarily mean a product. I don't mean used cars. I don't mean anything, cocaine. I don't mean anything particular, but you're selling yourself. You're selling things. And there's a way to do it and a way not. I wasn't very good at selling when I was younger. And then I learned how to do it. And I became very good at it. And that is part of what's given me a wonderful life. All of these things, by the way, every one of these things is important in the life I've had and a wonderful life. And I'm going to tell you about some of the tribes in a minute. And on and on. Just go down and read this list. Should you go to college or not? Today, in this day and age, in the United States of America, most students that graduate from high school should not go to college. Some should. I tell you, in my opinion, whether you should or not and how you should decide. You've got to decide. If you do decide to go to college, how can you do it with no debt? I think going to college today and running up a big debt, for most people, is not a good consequence. It's not something that they end up liking. It had very bad long-term negative effects. You hear about it all the time. How to win an argument. More importantly, how not to lose arguments. And there's a right way and a wrong way. And I don't ever lose arguments. Now, I don't always win them either, but the point is I avoid arguments I can't win. That's really the point. And how to do that. How to deal with difficult people. All your life, you're going to have to deal with difficult people. What I call difficult people. People that do things you don't like. People that engage in behaviors you don't like. People that, for whatever reason, you don't like them. How do you deal with them? Now, if someone's difficult enough, you just avoid them. And that might be something you have to do. You might have somebody in your family or your friends that is so difficult you can't deal with them, and you just need to avoid them. There are certain people in life I avoid. I won't have anything to do with them. I don't wish them ill. I don't try to hurt them. I don't care what happens to them. I just can't deal with them. Persuasion techniques, really important. Persuasion techniques are extremely important to get what you want. It's part of selling. It's part of living your life. Exponential growth is something that you really need to understand today because everything is growing exponentially in this world today. It always had, but it's really big time today. And the job you get today doing something, I will almost guarantee you that job will be obsolete in 5 years or 10 years because of the technologies that are growing exponentially. It's something you get at, and that happened to me in my life several times. I got very good at something and then it went obsolete. So how do you create good mental health and how do you create good physical health? Now, these are very important things in my view. And I have training. And by the way, there's going to be a lot more training than just what I'm doing here. This is just the beginning of the foundation of it. But I believe that the good mental health and the good physical health both come from understanding everything up above here. Now you say good mental health and good physical health. Well, what does that mean? Well, all right. Here's my proof to you. I've been around for decades, as you know. I remember Pearl Harbor. I was 3 years old when Pearl Harbor happened, week after my 3rd birthday. I'm 85 years old. I'm doing this tape now near the end of July in 2024 when I'm doing this video. I'm 85 years old. I have no aches or pains of any kind. I don't take any medicine with one exception. Every once in a while at night, my blood pressure will get a little bit high than I want it to be. I take a pill in the morning, it goes right down. That only happens occasionally. And by the way, I've learned wisdom that I got recently is that when you get older like I am, higher blood pressure is better than lower blood pressure. Did you know that? I didn't. I learned that recently. I used to worry about the fact that I have high blood pressure compared to what the doctors say is good. My blood pressure has typically always run high. Well, there's a time in your life when that's not good and it's indicative of something. But anyway, I'm 85 years old. The last time I was in the hospital was when I was 6 years old. I had my tonsils removed. My cardiovascular system is good. I have no aches or pains. I exercise, I lift things, I do squats, I do push-ups. Now I'm not as good a shape as I was 30 years ago or 50 years ago when I played rugby and rode motorcycles and did a lot of things like that. I'm not that strong, but I'm pretty strong for a man my age. I'm mentally quite acute. I actually think I'm more intelligent today than I've ever been in my life. Now, the reason is because of technology. I can take my smartphone and I can get on my smartphone and very quickly find out something I want to know. You couldn't do that 10, 15 years ago. The technologies today make me more intelligent. Why? I can find out things quicker. I learn today more things in a day than I used to learn in a month. In fact, I learned things today that I couldn't learn in the old days because it was too hard to get the information. So I actually think I'm more intelligent today than I was ever in my life, and I'm 85 years old. I must say that most of my friends, my close friends, are dead, or they're in all sorts of problems. They've got mental problems, or they've got physical problems. One of my very best friends, he'd been a good friend for over 70 years, 75 years actually. And he committed suicide. Why? He was in terrific pain, couldn't deal with it. They couldn't correct it. The doctors, he'd had health problems for years, and now he's just having pain all the time. And he said, enough's enough. I've had a good life. Boom. And he shot himself. And by the way, if I'm going to kill myself, I'm not going to use a pistol. I'm going to take a drug or something. But my point being, this is who I am. Now, why am I even doing the Triad Math Tribe? Well, I'm doing it because I love people. I love the world, and I enjoy doing it. It gives me a mission in my life. My mission is to do this. My mission in my life, and when you study, and I can't get into it on this tape, I don't want this tape to be 10 hours long. I hope it's no more than 1 or 2 hours. But what you'll learn from all my other tapes and my story, and I tell my story in this book, for example, in great detail. When I grew up, I was not physically very strong. I can't sing. When it comes to singing, I'm a dunce. When it comes to art, I'm a dunce. The one thing I could do, because my Uncle Jack had taught me, is I could count. And then he taught me real practical geometry. And he did this as a mentor. He wasn't a math teacher. He was a barber and a builder. But he was like a father to me. They call them the Uncle Jack videos. In fact, you're going to have access to my Uncle Jack videos when you join the tribe. And you'll find out what my Uncle Jack taught me. In fact, if you're trying to teach some real young child, some math, you watch my Uncle Jack videos. They're for you to teach them a child like my Uncle Jack taught me. And what it did, it gave me a head start against all my classmates. My classmates, who were actually a year older than me when I went to school, had not been taught to count yet. It was during World War II, by the way. I was born in 1938, so I went to school in 1943 at age 5, first grade. All my classmates were older than me. Most of them were 6 years old. And but I was the only one that could count, thanks to my Uncle Jack. Just luck on my part, right? Just good fortune. And my teacher then got me to help her teach my classmates to count. Now, up until then, I'd been the dunce in the class. I couldn't skip either. Physically, I wasn't coordinated enough. They were all stronger than me. I wasn't a good athletic. There wasn't anything wrong with me. I just wasn't a good athlete. Couldn't sing, and they did a lot of singing, and I was no good at it. I couldn't color. I'm colorblind. I'm physically colorblind. I have a handicap. I can't be a fireman. I couldn't be on the railroad because I'm colorblind, but I could count. Now you've got some skills. I don't know what your skills are. They're not the same as mine, but you've got some skills. And I hope you find a mentor and a teacher that can help you develop those skills and you discover that. You're good at something. I have a friend who's very good at art. He wasn't very good at arithmetic or math. He didn't care about it, but he's good at art. And he had a great career in art. I had another one was in music. He was a great musician. Again, he couldn't do math. He wasn't very good at anything else, but he was good at music and he had a good career as a musician. And on and on and on. I could give you lots of examples of that. But I hope you're fortunate enough to have a tribe, a family and friends tribe, and maybe a school, whatever, a church, whatever it might be, that can help you develop your skill set. Now, this is aimed at young adults, so that's all in the past for you. I hope that happened to you, but there's never too late. When I was a freshman, I tell the story, I was a freshman in high school, and I took my first class in algebra. Now, most people, if they have a memory of algebra at all when they were in school, it's not a very good memory. And mine was, didn't do very good in algebra. And I was told, Craig, you'll never go to college because you didn't do good in algebra. I was told that by my principal and my advisor in high school, Greencastle High School in Indiana, Greencastle, Indiana. And I was very depressed that summer because I'd been told all my life, Craig, you're going to go to college. I believed in it. No one in my family had ever gone to college. I'm a hick from the sticks. That's what I call myself. Now I'm living in the big city of Greencastle with the city slickers, we call them. Anyway, I'm told I'm not college material. Then I took geometry with a good teacher, an old maid school teacher, Miss O'Hare, Madonna O'Hare, and I did good in geometry. Did really good in it. In fact, I was at the top of my class because that's about the only thing I studied was geometry. I loved it. And by the way, the reason my music friends were good at music, they spent all their time doing music. My art friends spent all their time doing art all the time. So you find the things you're good at that you like and spend your time doing it. Get good at it. And so, hey, I like geometry. I don't like algebra. Took algebra my junior year. Again, I didn't do real well in it, but now it's the old algebra teacher. I don't think I like him. I was real lucky. In my little hometown of Greencastle, Indiana, there's a college there called DePauw University, D-E-P-A-U-W. And my geometry teacher said, Craig, your senior year, instead of going to staying in high school and taking math with that same teacher you didn't do for algebra, go to DePauw and take college algebra. And my principal didn't want me to do it, but my dad talked him into it. I went and did it. Had a good teacher, Dr. Clint Gass, became my mentor, made an A. And today I have a PhD in algebraic number theory. And I taught the most advanced math they had at DePauw University when I was 22 years old. Okay, I tell all that in great detail other places. Enough of that. I have been in lots of tribes in my life. And I've learned things in virtually all of them. I've enjoyed life in all of them. And I think you're going to enjoy the Triad Math Tribe because of what you're going to get. And by the way, it's not going to show when I show it on the video, but we've got a new price structure I'm getting ready to do. If you are an adult in the United States under 18 years old, guess what it's going to cost you to join the tribe and have access to all the math and all the training and everything. And by the way, I think it'll take you years and years and years to fully absorb and get the benefit out of it. I don't think you're going to join this tribe and be in it for a short period of time, if it works at all for you. What's it going to cost you under 18 years old? And the answer is $9 a month. That's it. On top of that, you're going to find a way you can spread the word and earn money doing it. And so if you're a little bit ambitious and learn how to sell and learn how to communicate and help other people, pretty soon it'll cost you nothing. In fact, you'll be making money. Now, once you're 18, there's some things that I can do for you in the tribe that I can't do until you're 18, and you'll learn about it. At that point, it's going to go to $30 a month for anybody that's 18 or older. But you get more than the under 18 did because of something I can do that has to do with bank loans and credit and all that. And you'll learn all about that. So tribes are the name of the game. Now, my family tribe was extremely important to me. And of course, with a tribe, you have sub-tribes, okay? You have certain people in the family you're close to, and that's a little sub-tribe. In my tribe, my dad had a brother, and they were very close. They had other brothers and sisters, but they were really close. So they were a lot like a tribe of two, and they both had children. And the oldest, my oldest cousin, and my dad's brother, and I became like brothers. And so I was closer to him than I was to my own physical brother. So we were a little tribe of two, and have been all our lives. And so you'll have that. You'll have like a good friend on something, and I've had many, many good close friends, and we were like a tribe of two during certain parts of our life. And then we'd separate and I'd have other friends. And that's gone on all my life. I've had lots and lots of good friends. Now, sometimes we're in a bigger group. I was a Boy Scout. I was in the Boy Scout tribe. I went to the Nazarene Church. I was in the Sunday school tribe. And I learned a lot from all these things. I learned a lot from my church tribe. I learned a lot from my Boy Scout tribe, and so on. I set pins in a bowling alley. You've never heard of that. But back in the old days, you had to set pins in a bowling alley manually. You don't do it anymore. It's automatic now. But I was in with a bunch of other pin setters, and they were the boys that were the juvenile delinquents in Greencastle. Some of them have been to what's called boys' school, which is like the prison for juveniles. And that was a tribe I was in. I learned a lot from them. I learned to play pool. None of my classmates, and I learned other things. Now, there were things I didn't agree with on. I didn't believe in stealing, and a lot of them did. They thought that was the way to get along in life, and they believed in it. There are tribes, by the way, that think that stealing is a good thing. They live by that. That's in their belief system. That's a good thing to do. There's tribes that believe killing is a good thing. That's what they do. To be honest, I avoid those tribes by and large. And if I am a guest in one, I don't participate in those things. One of the tribes I was a guest in for a year or two was the Diablo Motorcycle Gang. I was a guest, not a member. I didn't even ride a motorcycle at that time, but I had a reason that I won't get into that I was a guest. Got along great with them. In fact, I had a couple of work for me part-time. Got along great with them, but there were certain behaviors that you couldn't engage in with them or you get in trouble, and others that I didn't engage in, and on and on. So all my life I've been in tribes. I mentioned the Boy Scouts. I mentioned the church. I was in different tribes in high school. Schools have cliques, they call them sometimes. I call them tribes. A clique is a tribe. And there were different tribes in my high school, and I came from the country. I was what was called a country bumpkin, or actually a hick from the sticks. Country bumpkins were kids that came from the farms. I didn't. I lived in the woods up till I was 12 years old. I didn't live on a farm. I lived in the woods, the sticks we called them. And I was a hick from the sticks. I came into the town of Greencastle when I was in the 7th grade, and we had the boys there were what we call city slickers. They grew up in the city. Very different, very different. And I got along with all of them. And I got along, as I mentioned, with the JD tribe, but then I also got along with the ones that were in theater. And I got along a bunch of different high school tribes I got along with. Then I went to college. After Dr. Gass, I had math with him in my senior year in high school, and he got me into the #1 liberal arts college in the United States at that time, Oberlin College in Ohio. #1 liberal arts college. Amazing school. And it's a long Ohio story. I tell at other places how he got me in. And I went there, and I was in lots and lots of different tribes at Oberlin. Lots of tribes. I could spend 2 hours, 3 or 4 hours talking about the different tribes I was in. One of the tribes I became very aware of at Oberlin that I didn't know anything about when I went there, and that was what's called the Jewish tribe, because a lot of the students at Oberlin were Jews, a lot of them from New York City, and these became my best friends. And they made me very aware of Judaism, and the fact that I'm not a Jew, we were friends, but I wasn't one of them, even though we were friends and I was a guest. And I could tell you lots of stories about that. I loved them. I got along great with them. I had African-American friends all my life. I grew up, I was very lucky when I was young. Oh, racism was horrible back when I was a young boy. And I was in the third grade, and well, I don't want to say I fell in love with, but I became very close friends with a young black woman and a young black man my age, and was friends with them all our life. I never could understand racism. Never made any sense to me. I knew all kinds of blacks I liked. In fact, I've never met a black person I didn't like. I'm sure there's some I don't like. There's white people I don't like. I'm sure there are black people I don't like, but I was lucky. And the ones I met very few people in my life I don't like. I worked on the Pennsylvania Railroad one summer. My golly, what an experience that was! What a tribe that was! I lived in a camp car in East St. Louis with people working on the Pennsylvania Railroad, and I could tell you lots of stories about that. On and on and on. Then a tribe I got involved with was graduate students at Indiana University. I graduated from Oberlin College as a math major and an English major. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in the future. I had no plans for the future. I've never planned ahead very well. I'm not a good planner ahead. I just want adventure. And an opportunity came to teach math at high school, in a small high school in Ohio, all 4 levels of math, all 4 grades, and chemistry for 1 year on a temporary permit. So after I graduated from Oberlin, I did that for 1 year in Wakeman, Ohio. And I loved it. I've been tutoring kids in math all along, making a living tutoring. And that's one of the things I teach you. You join the tribe. You get good at something that you're good at, and you can either make a living, people pay you to do it, or they'll pay you to teach them to do it. Other people want to do the same thing, whatever it might be. So you get really good at something that you love to do. I talk about that in the training, that if you join the tribe, the Triad Math Tribe, you'll learn it and you'll do it. Okay. You may know it already, but there'll be other things you'll learn. Okay. Now, I believe that high school math education was really bad and it could be greatly improved. But how do you do it? I didn't have any way to do it. And so I taught after that 1 year teaching high school. I've been very frustrated with high school math because I was given the textbooks and the syllabus and all that. I deviated from it a lot. And I think I was the best high school math teacher I've ever seen by far because of what I did. I use a Socratic technique. I don't lecture, and I try to pick topics that are going to be of benefit to people. And that's what you'll find I do with my current system, online system. Well, anyway, that summer I went back home, and Dr. Gass asked me what I was going to do. I didn't know. He said, well, come teach at DePaul second semester while I go on sabbatical, which I did then. Now at age 22, I'm teaching at DePaul. I was teaching advanced math that they didn't know at DePaul because I learned it at Oberlin. Then he got me to go to grad school just to see what that was like at Indiana University. I never even thought of going to grad school. I went down there. I liked it. So I stayed in grad school. Now that's another story. I can spend an hour telling you that, and I do. In fact, I tell that in the videos that you're going to learn. How did I get a PhD? Let's say I've got 100 classmates and we're all equal, pretty much equal ability. Only 10 are going to get a PhD out of 100. What do? I learned what to do. And by the way, I wasn't because I was smarter than they were. A lot of them were smarter than I was. But I got a PhD and a lot of them didn't. And I teach them. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Something you should know. And it applies to lots of things too, not just to get a PhD in math. It applies to all sorts of things. I have 3 children, all been extremely successful because I've been able to teach them a lot of the things you're going to learn in the Triad Math Tribe. They're all very successful. And I'm not going to tell you right now what they do, but you would be very impressed. And they might have done it on their, what you do in your life, by the way, is going to depend on what tribes you're in and what opportunities you have and the environment you're in. That's going to determine what you do with your life. That's true of all of us. If I ended up growing up when I did, where I did, and had the mentors I had, my life would have been totally different. I have no idea what it would have been like. There's tribes in this world that if you're born into them, it's going to be tough to have a decent life. I can't give you advice. If you are a Palestinian living in Gaza, I don't have any advice for you. That's a tribe situation that's so horrible. I can't even imagine it. It's horrible. And I wouldn't know what to tell you to do. My tribe, the Tribe Math Tribe, is for adults, mostly young adults. And by adult, I mean anybody 13 years or older. Once you've gone through puberty, you're an adult as far as I'm concerned. Legally, it's 18. That's why I got things I can do for you after you're 18. My whole idea is for those kind of people, and you got to speak English or be able to somehow translate it. And you got to want to improve your life. You got to be willing to learn things and do things. If you're a drug addict and all you want to do is lay around being drugs all day, and that's all you care about, and you're not going to do anything else, you've got an addiction that got you down, joining my tribe won't do you any good. I can't help you. I will tell you how to overcome it. I had a lot of addictions in my life that were bad, and I tell you all about that. I had a whole bunch of addictions that had not gotten over them. I'd have been dead a long time ago. And I tell you about that. And that's part of the wisdom that you get. The actions have consequences. And then after I taught it, I went to grad school and I got a PhD in mathematics. I told you that. Then I went out and I was a professor for 7 years, teaching advanced mathematics at 2 different schools in Indiana. And at one of the schools, it was Indiana State University, they trained high school math teachers. So I tried to help them improve that. And I told them things I thought they should do. And they so appreciated what I did, they fired me. I got fired from my first professorship because I stuck my nose into I was teaching advanced theoretical math. They didn't care about that. But then I stuck my nose into their bailiwick, teaching high school math teachers what they should do. And they're a troublemaker, they said, and they fired me. Well, then I went to work, taught in engineering school for 4 years. I taught there 3 years. I taught engineering school for 4 years. And that was fine and dandy. But in the meantime, I went into business. Now, I've been in lots of businesses. And boy, you talk about tribalism, go into business in America. Tribalism. I was in an automotive parts business. I did a leverage buyout. My brother and I became rich overnight. Literally went from, in today's dollars, in 2024 dollars, we went from having maybe $50,000 to having $2 million. Did it in one deal. And you say, well, that was great. It was actually what's called a convex option. Then I went into the drag racing arena and I built the world's greatest 8th mile drag strip. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from dragsters, Big Daddy Don Garlis and all that. That was famous dragster back in that day, Bob Glidden and those people. I went broke because it was the wrong time to do it. I didn't know that. Things happened. OPEC happened, the oil thing. It's back in the 70s. In the meantime, I developed a gasoline company that took lead out of gas, lowered the octane. I had a chemistry professor friend that knew all about that. We formed a company together, H&H Gasoline, in 30 states. But then in the process of doing that, I learned electronics, and math lets you do things you can't do otherwise. Everything I did, by the way, if it hadn't been for math, I couldn't have done it. And I'm talking practical math now. I'm not talking about advanced math. In fact, I teach all the practical math you need to know to do a lot of things I did in one semester. When you join the Triad Math Army, in less than 6 months, probably 3 months, you're going to learn all the practical math, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, how to use a scientific calculator. You're going to learn all that in less than 3 months. So if you're under 18 and it's $9 a month, for less than $30, you're going to learn all that. And you'll be a damn fool if you don't do it, because that will help you do all sorts of things. I don't care what you do in life. That's going to help you. Okay. I developed what's called the Dynabrain to test racing in on dynamometers. When I did that, my customers for that turned out to be NASCAR. And I got to know almost everybody in NASCAR in the 70s. My number one customer was Dale Earnhardt, one of the most famous NASCAR racers of all time for Austin Racing. I tell that story elsewhere in depth. And I went on from there. And then I formed and by the way, I had 4 companies that I just told you about. I had the automotive parts company. My brother and I didn't know how to manage it. We lost it. The drag strip went under for reasons beyond my control. I couldn't handle. The gasoline company got stolen from me by my business partner. I learned that's a whole nother story to tell you about. And the Dynabrain company, I was just about to have great success with it, and Intel quit making the microprocessor went into it. Well, I told you earlier, whatever you do today, 5 years from now, is going to be different. In 1975, I'd learned how to program the Intel 4040 processor, and I could have made big money doing it as a 5 years later, it was obsolete. They quit making it. And that knowledge was all worthless. I started a training company, Hain Training. Now that went through multiple stages. I did $35,000 my first year in sales, almost no profit. And then it went up and up and up. We got to 3 million in 20 years. And I got to travel the world. I traveled the country. I've been all over the country. I put 100,000 miles on a motor home. I've been east to west, been all the states, old Quebec City in Canada out to Vancouver Island. I've taught on Vancouver Island, Victoria. I've been all through Mexico. Tell you tons of stories. I've taught in Mexico and Monterey, all that. I've been to South America. I've swum with the Indians in the Amazon River. I've been all over Europe, all over England and Scotland and blah, blah, blah. Athens, Greece, and Turkey. What a life. Have I been everywhere? No, there's places I haven't been, places I don't want to go. And now I'm 85 years old and I've done my traveling. I've quit traveling a few years ago, but I've been everywhere I want to go. And I live in a place now that to me is the most beautiful place I've ever lived in my life. For me, not for you. I don't know what you'll love, but for me it is. You got to find, and of course, as you can imagine, by the way, I became a multimillionaire again. Remember, I went broke in the 70s, went broke, became a multimillionaire again. And when the banking crisis hit in 2008 and 9, I went bankrupt again. The banks did it. I couldn't believe what they did. It's unbelievable what they did. Still unbelievable. They did it. And I went bankrupt again. Now I was 70 years old. You go, oh shit. Going bankrupt when you're 70, that's not good. Actually, I thank God for it. I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't happy about it at the time because I lost my home. We had a beautiful home. We lost it. We lost everything. Physically, physical stuff. The only hand I left over with the bankruptcy over, I had a whole bunch of what people call junk. Now, what I did during that time, when I was fighting the banks, I fought them for over 2 years with lawyers and all that. But what I did is I thought the technology had gotten to the point, and I had some technology I developed that I could do online math training in a way that I could never do it before. And so I created a math program, Triad Math Inc.'s the name of that, incorporated it in 2011, once I realized I could do this. And today I can teach you the math all the way from basic math. I'm not talking about elementary now. I'm assuming you know the number system. How to use a scientific calculator, first thing I teach you. $10 calculator, you'll never need another one. Then I teach you practical algebra, geometry, and trig in about one semester. Then I teach you some more math if you're going to college for the SAT. If you're going into science engineering, oh my God, I teach you math for that now using a modern 21st century tool that no one else is using. It's called Wolfram Alpha. And it just revolutionizes how you learn calculus and do calculus and differential equations. And I teach all that. And it's all online and it's very well. In fact, let me show you now. I'm going to go share the screen again. If you're still watching, that means you're interested in this. And I'm fine with that. And if you cut out before now, you weren't interested, you wouldn't have been a good member anyway. I don't care. You go to Homeschooler Today, this will tell you about our mathematics program. And if you go over here, you can look at the curriculum, and this will show you the curriculum. Now, this is mostly for people who want to learn math at home. No high school teaches this, by the way. You cannot get this in any school. If you can find any school that will teach this, tell me about it, and I'll give you some money. I started to say $1,000, but I'll give you some money. Now, if you go all the way through my 6-tier program, it's $597. You have access to the whole thing immediately when you join the Triad Math Tribe. Access to everything. What I recommend most people do, I recommend they go through tiers 1 and 2, which you could buy for $197. This is the practical math. And if you're not going to go to college, you probably don't need more math from me that I teach. There might be some other math you'll learn from other people, but this will give you the foundation. You'll know more math than 95% of all high school graduates. You'll know practical algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. Most students learn in one semester. It's $197. Join the Triad Math Army, and you're going to learn this probably in 3 months. It depends on how hard you work, for God's sakes, and your ability. But you don't have to be talented at math to learn it. In fact, 90% of all students that I've ever tutored can learn math. If you've got a learning disability, you might not be able to, but very few students do. I tutored math for years and years and years when I was back in my younger days, and I never had a failure when I tutored one-on-one. Well, these are tutorial videos. It's not me in person. It's tutorial videos off of Amazon Web Services, and they come with notes and exercises, and you can either print them out from PDF copies, or Amazon will print them for you very inexpensively. So if you don't want to print them yourself, you get Amazon to print them for you very inexpensively. I don't make any money off of the books. Okay, so that's the math. And if you want to know what the curriculum is, well, that's the pricing of it. And I already told you that here's the curriculum. And I already told you, you go up through tier 2. If you're going to go to college, take tier 3. If you're going into science engineering, 4, 5, and 6. Here's the high school equivalency credit. If you're a homeschooler, a lot of homeschoolers take it. Even if you're going to a regular school, that's going to help you tremendously. Now, it isn't going to replace what they're teaching in a regular school. God only knows what that is. Schools are so different, I can't predict it. If you tell me you're taking algebra, that doesn't mean a damn thing, because it can mean a lot of things. You can have 5 algebra teachers all teaching different things. The big, thick books, they only teach a small part of them, and who knows what they're teaching you. But it'll help you. It'll help you a lot. So you can learn that. And here's some FAQs about our math curriculum. But anyway, back to here. Okay. Now, what's the deal? Join the Tribe Math Tribe if you want to improve your life. That's the bottom line. And what you'll learn once you join it, you'll find out within 30 days whether you like it or not. If you don't like me, you don't like my videos, you don't think you're going to learn anything, drop out, get your money back. If you're under 18, you'll get $9 back. If you're over 18, it'll be 30. Most of you are going to stay in it. Then you're going to find out, you're going to learn how to communicate with other people and help other people improve their life. You're going to go do that. When you do that, you're going to start making money. As a matter of fact, I predict that I will have some math tribe members, maybe you, that will become financially independent as tribe members. Because if you go out, for example, and you recruit 100 adults 18 or over, you'll end up making $1,000 a month. Recruit 300, you're making $3,000 a month. Recruit 1,000, you'll be making $10,000 a month. And in this day and age, with TikTok and Instagram and all the ways of communicating, you might be able to figure out a way to recruit a lot of them. Now, maybe you just recruit 2 or 3 you know, and then you get yours for free. The whole idea of this, I want to help as many people as I can. And the reason I do that, by the way, the one reason I call it an army is I explain in this video, when you watch this 16-minute video, our mission, my global mission, is to eliminate all wars. Wars today are the greatest thing that are a threat to our civilization. And if we have what they might call third world war, and I'm not just talking nuclear now. Nuclear is a threat, but there's even worse threats. There's cyber threats. There's biological threats. There's all sorts of threats. It can destroy civilization as we know it. So to me, my global mission for the Tribe Math Tribe is to eliminate war. That's my global mission, and it'll be, if you're a tribe member, that's your global mission too. The local mission is to improve your life. Your life, you got to improve it. What is your life full of? Your life is full of problems and opportunities. Zorba the Greek once said, life is problems, problems, problems. That's true, but it's opportunities, opportunities, opportunities. It's both. Now, all these problems and opportunities result in what? Actions you take or don't. And these actions have consequences. And wisdom is understanding the consequences. And that's what I'm going to try to teach you as a tribe member, is give you wisdom. So you'll know what actions to take that will improve your life, improve your family's life, improve your friend's life, improve your tribe's life, and ultimately improve the world's life. And maybe, if enough of us do this, if I can get 1 million of you out there, I think that will dramatically improve life in the United States, and that can spill over globally. So far, what we've done hasn't succeeded. today, 2024, the Ukraine war, the Gaza war, and internally in the United States, by God, you got these two tribes. You got the pro-Trump tribes and the anti-Trump tribes, two tribes that hate each other. Yesterday, Joe Biden just stepped down and he's not going to run for president. Who's going to run for, who knows? Can I predict the future? Hell no, I can't predict it. Nobody can. I can make predictions, but do I know what's going to happen? Of course not. But here's the whole point of joining the tribe. There's a rule you got to follow to be a tribe member. It's a very simple rule. Be helpful and honest with all of their tribe members. That's it. Be helpful and be honest. That's all. With other tribe members. I talk about what is tribalism, which I've talked about now on this a lot. I even give you some books to read, and the Bible and Quran are all about tribalism. Religion's about tribalism. Mark Twain has some great stories. And then here's your opportunity. Now I've got, you can try it for $30 a month risk-free. That is true. And it's going to also add, time you get, when I update this, if you're under 18 years old, it's going to be $9 a month. You get more when you're 18 because of what you're going to learn down here, more things. You're going to be able to recruit people and get money. And when you recruit somebody, whatever they pay, you get a third of it. And so on. And then if you're over 18, you're paying $30 a month. If you've got somebody in your family that wants to learn math, you can enroll them for no extra charge. Now, if you're watching this and you don't want to join it, but you got someone in your family, you can let, and they're under 18, they can join for $9. And that's not all. There's more. There's more. There's a way, for example, you can improve your credit. And I'll explain that to you when you start studying this. But if you're 18 or over, I can help you get a bank loan, tried math, help you get a bank loan with no guarantors so you can pay it off and use that to improve your credit if you need to do that. And some young adults do. So there we are. This is what this is all about. Tribalism. Tribes, tribes, tribes. No two people will ever have the same life experience with the same tribes. Everyone's unique. You're unique. Everyone is. My brother, who looks a lot like me, people think we're twins, although he is 5 years younger, but now that he's had a totally different life than I have. Totally different. He did not have the mentors I had. He never went to college. He's very intelligent, and he's made a great life for himself in other arenas and things he's done. And so everybody is different. I cannot tell you which tribes to join. I cannot tell you which actions to take. I cannot tell you which consequences you should desire. None of that. I can just tell you, if you do this action, this might be the consequence, more than likely. Here's a possibility. And I can teach you things. I can get you wisdom. Had I known at a certain point, certain things that I'm going to teach you, I would not have done certain things I did that had consequences I didn't like. So anyway, now I must just tell you that part of what I personally believe, I believe in family. I believe in having children. I love my children. That's in fact, my social life today is pretty much my grandchildren. Most of my friends are dead. Or they don't live nearby. Now, I get on the phone with them occasionally and talk to a few friends. I got one in Florida, one in California. But most of them have died, unfortunately. I mean, well, not unfortunately, which life is. I personally, now I can die instantly, I know that. I personally think, because I've learned about health, and I'll be teaching you a lot of this, I think I'm going to live another 15 to 20 years. I think I'm going to do a lot of things in life. And because of technology, I can do all these things we're talking about. The reason I can live where I live, and I go out on the back porch of where I live. And I live in a little town, but I'm surrounded by woods. I live in a unique house in this town that has nothing but woods all around me. squirrels and birds and insects and all the things in the woods, even though it's in a town. There's no other place on this earth that I would rather be on a given day than there. Well, that's not true in the wintertime when the leaves are gone. There are maybe, but I love it even then. But everybody different. I don't like the desert. You might. I don't like the seashore along the ocean. You might. I don't like high up. I don't like, but that's everybody different. But the point being, today, I'm in a lot of tribes via the internet and the technologies. And so I've created this tribe for you to join. Now, you and I may never actually meet personally. I will be having a lot of Zoom meetings, by the way, with tribe members. And so I'll have one-on-one Zoom meeting with some of them, particularly if you've got something to share that I think I can learn from you and add to what we're offering are the tribe members. You'll be invited to talk to me about that. And it may be, there'll be things that you can share with our tribe members if you want to. You might even have a product to sell them. And I'm okay with that, as long as it's a great product and guaranteed and all that. I only sell something when I guarantee it. When I sold my Hain training, my workshops were on site with big companies. And they typically were run about $7,000 for a 4-day workshop on site. My cost on delivering it was usually half of that. And then the other half I could spend on marketing and sales and profit. My deal was, if I had a new customer that didn't know who, they're always skeptical, guaranteed, I'll go do the workshop and I'll send you 2 invoices, $7,000 we've agreed to, which you've agreed if it does what I say, it's worth it. The problem is there's so many con men out there. I'll send you a second invoice, blank, and you fill in whatever number you want to and pay in full, including zero. So if you don't like my workshop, you put in whatever it was worth to you, and that's what you pay me. Now, if you don't put in 7,000, no more workshops. Yeah, I won't do any more. You bought the only one you're going to get. If you say, okay, I didn't like your workshop, zero or $2,000 or whatever, fine. But don't ask me for another workshop. You're not going to get it. I never had a blank invoice returned. And I did it hundreds of times. I could spend hours just discussing that particular company and what I did with the Saturn plan and with General Motors and with Chrysler and with Caterpillar. And in fact, I told you earlier, I went broke in 2010 and 11. I had a bunch of assets left over that had no value to anyone else. It was my old training materials, a lot of stuff, I had like a whole bunch of training stuff. And unless I delivered the training, it wasn't worth anything. And I had one of my customers call up and say, if you will sell us all these assets and teach us to do the training, we'll buy them from you. 2014, I'm financially independent again. By that, I mean, I don't need money. I'm not doing this for money. I will probably take no money out of the tribe math. I don't need it for anything. I have all the money I need. I'm not rich. I'm not Mark Cuban, my old rugby guy I know from rugby. Obviously I'm not a billionaire. I wouldn't want to be. By the way, I don't envy billionaires. I don't envy Mark. He's a billionaire, but I wouldn't want to be a famous rich guy. I wouldn't want to be famous at all. I particularly wouldn't want to be rich. And I'm not. I'm still, but I have enough to eat my food and live a comfortable life. And it doesn't take much today to do it. You come to Indiana and live in a town like I live in, and it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. In fact, if you join the tribe, let's say you live in New York City or San Francisco or some high-priced place, and you join the tribe, and you go, wow, I love it. And you start telling other people about it. When you get up to where you're making a couple $1,000s a month, which would be 200 people, let's say, you can afford to move out here and live a good lifestyle. You can't do it in New York City on 2,000, I don't think. or San Francisco, but you sure hell do it in Indiana. Now you got to like Indiana. You got to like it. I mean, if you love New York City, then you got to make more. I don't know how much it takes to live a good life in New York City. I don't know. Maybe it takes 5,000 a month or 10,000 a month. Well, then you have to sell more stuff. And once you get to a certain level, you're going to sell back and say, okay, now that's it. I'm happy. You know I can do other things I want to do, because that's what you're going to learn about flow, intrinsic motivation. You're going to learn all that. And so I know this has been a long video. I don't know how long it's been. I'm going to be interested in finding out how long it's been. I won't know till I actually record it and do it. And I'll make a YouTube video out of it. It'll be on YouTube. And so if you've watched it this long, either you think I'm just full of crap and, you know, that's it and so on. Just tell somebody else to watch it and tell them you found this thing is full of crap. But what I really say you do is you should go join it. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you make one decision that you would not have otherwise made that gives you a good consequence, well, hell, it paid for itself big time. I actually think that being a member of this tribe, the people that learn from it and do the things they then can do could be worth an almost incalculable amount of money to you. How much money do you need? Once you get to a certain level, you don't need more. In fact, I even have a thing on money. Too much money is a detriment. I never entered a lottery in my life, and one reason I give is I don't want to. I'm afraid I might win. I don't want to win a lottery. I don't want somebody come along and give me $50 million. I don't want that. If they did, I would probably just turn right around and give it away. I think it could ruin my family, it could ruin me, and so on. Too much money is bad. Not enough money is bad, but too much is bad. You want the right amount. It's like oxygen. I want good air to breathe. I want enough oxygen to breathe. I got to have enough or I'm not happy. That's one reason I like where I live. I live where there's good air. There's no pollution where I live. Well, there's pollution everywhere, but I'm talking about like in a big city where there's lots of pollution. My God, there's places in this country. I mean, my God, I wouldn't want to be there at all. Good air. But here's the point. If you got too much oxygen, do you know what too much oxygen would do to you? 20% is how much oxygen you got now. 20%. 80% is nitrogen, 20% is oxygen. There's a few other little gases got a little bit in them. Water vapors, 4,000 parts out of a million. Oxygen, 200,000 parts out of a million. Nitrogen, 800,000 parts out of a million. Oh yeah, carbon dioxide, 400 out of a million, almost. Carbon dioxide, as far as you are concerned, is trivial. In fact, when you breathe out carbon dioxide, you're probably breathing out about 40,000 out of a million. In fact, if you're in a room with a lot of people, it goes up to a couple thousand per million, which is fine. Won't hurt you. But anyway, back to oxygen. If you get too much oxygen, it'll kill you pretty quick because it makes things combust quicker. And too much oxygen, it's just like you can have a candle and have just right amount of oxygen to burn this high. If you deplete the oxygen, the flame gets lower and lower and lower, and finally it flickers and goes out. Too much oxygen, the flame gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it burns down much quicker. So you don't want too much oxygen. 20% is the right amount. God figured it out, didn't he? And that's a whole other thing, talking about the, and I get into a lot of that, the science of William Tiller and what is the world really like. Modern science is in a crisis now. Our scientists, they don't have much understanding at all about the world we live in. Very limited. Do they know more than they did 100 years ago? Yeah. But they're a long way from understanding. And some people are getting further along than others. And I'll be talking a lot about that. I do not fear death, for example, at all. And I think once you understand life the way I think I understand it, that I will teach you what I think I know, you won't fear death. I don't fear it at all. I don't want to die right away. I want to do the things I'm doing, but I don't fear it. So, in fact, I don't really fear anything today. I see things bad that could happen. I see good things can happen. I am always optimistic. I think the world's going to be better. I think that if the Triad Math Tribe or the Triad Math Army, I'd call it both, if it grows big enough, I think it's going to have a big impact on the world globally in a very positive way. And that's what my mission is right now. That's my mission. And math is a component of it, very important component, but just one component of a bigger thing. And this will come about in the last year. For many years, all I did was the math thing. Now I've decided to go way beyond that. I need to share the wisdom that I've been blessed with. It's my obligation, I believe, if I have some wisdom, meaning understanding consequences of actions, it's my obligation to share it with you. You don't have to believe it either. I mean, you can draw your own conclusions. I do change things occasionally. Once in a while, I go, oh, wait a minute. I thought this action had this consequence. Whoop, I'm wrong. Had a different consequence. Oh, so wisdom changes. It's not perfect. And I've always learning new things. I learn new things all the time. I'm 85 years old and I learn new things frequently. I won't say every day, but a lot. And by the way, when I do that, that can in some sense improve my life. I've improved my life in the last 2 years in a way that's interesting. And I won't get into great details on this, but all my life, ever since I was 12 years old, I've had an eating problem, and it's caused me to be overweight a good part of my life. I've been up and down a couple, 3 times. I've been times in my life when I was in really good shape. I could stand on my head and do 20 push-ups. I could squat on one leg with 50 pounds. I played rugby. I rode motorcycles, but I had a lot of other time in my life I was overweight, and it got worse and worse and worse. In fact, way back in the late 70s, I went on the Atkins diet and got down to 170. But then I went back up again. Anyway, a couple of years ago, I'm looking at my life. Now I'm, 82 or 3, and I'm 240 pounds. Now that's overweight. Now I'm healthy, feel good, but hey, I know that's not good. So I began to learn some eating habits, but more importantly, I got a technology. I got something called the Renpho scales. I'll tell you about in more detail. But every day I can weigh myself, and I tell my weight. I can tell about 20 different things about my body, my visceral fat, my BMR, the on and on and on. This technology does that. And I began then to modify my eating habits and my drinking habits and all of that. And now today, 2 years later, I am under 190. So I've gone down 50 pounds. Now, I think I'm going to probably in the next 6 months to a year. In fact, what happened was I went down in about a year, and then I stayed steady for about a year. Now I'm going to go down. I want to go down to about 170, maybe 160, because that will be, for me, an ideal weight. I'm still overweight. Not as bad as it was, but I'm still overweight. Meditation is important. The way you deal with your psychology is important. I'm not going to tell you what you got to do. I'm going to tell you things I've learned and the consequences of certain actions. You decide what you want to do. It's your life. And in all honesty, while I want you to have a better life, in a certain sense, I don't care. I have people who have done things that I've disapproved of, sometimes to hurt me, but I just forget it. I don't harbor ill will towards anybody. It's your life to live. And karma will take care of it. Your life, I talk about karma, and karma will have a great influence, I believe. So I urge you to join if you are a young adult, and if you speak English, and if you want to improve your life, and if you're willing to learn some new things and apply them and try them, then I urge you to join the Triad Math Tribe. And you got 30 days to try it out for free, and let me know. And by the way, if you want to join it and you're in a financial position where you can't afford $9 or $30, let's say over 18, contact me and I will let you earn it through some work you do for me. I would not want you not to join because I don't want you to suffer. If paying $30 a month would cause you some kind of pain, particularly if you're family or whatever, then I'll let you have it for nothing. But you got to contact me and you got to tell me what you're going to do and that you can do it. And I'll have you do some things for me. Call it work if you want to, but do some activities and I'll let you in it for nothing. I'm fine with that. So you'll find when you go to my website, you'll find my email address and all that. And learn all about me. In fact, the one last thing I'll just share with the screen with you. You've listened to me for a long time now. You want to know more about me. Who the hell is this guy? Go to craighane.com. That's my name, Craig Hain, craighane.com. And bingo, there I am. Does that look like me? My Vita's up here. My story's up here. There's a bunch of free stuff, all about courses and things. Oddly enough, I haven't yet. I'm going to put it on my site soon about going to join the TriMath tribe. I haven't done that yet. And by the way, there's a video library. If you're into math just in general, this is not my math training now. This is not what I talked to you about earlier. This is just a bunch of videos on a bunch of whole math subjects that you might find of general interest. It's not math training. There's no notes or exercises. It's just me talking about different things. You might find Math Proves God Exists, an interesting video, a short history of science, and then Math Proves God Exists, and so on. So that's just some stuff that's here. It's all free. You can go there, learn about me, and you'll know what it's all about. And then join up. $9 a month if you're under 18, $30 if you're 18 or over, or contact me if you can't afford that. Still got to have access to the internet because it's all over the internet. But that's all you got to have, access to the internet. And away we go. So, Craig Hain. I let my students, by the way, call me Dr. Dell, and then my friends call me Craig. And my grandchildren call me Papa. And my wife called me lots of different names. By the way, FYI, I've been married twice in my life. I didn't have any children with my first wife. She's a wonderful woman, married for about 3 years. Decided we didn't want the same thing in life, got divorced, friendly divorce. And then I married another woman, and we've been married 57 years. And for me, she's the most beautiful woman I ever met in my life. I love her dearly, still do, so on and so forth. But that's another story. And but I do believe if you can adopt the wisdom that I was fortunate enough to acquire. See, I was 27 years old at the time I married my second wife. We've been married 57 years, like I told you. And I was 27. Well, by that time, I'd had enough relationships and I'd acquired enough wisdom to choose an appropriate person. My first time I didn't, and I didn't get the right person. And it wasn't my fault, wasn't her fault. We just didn't know. The first wife, wonderful woman. But then I knew I had enough wisdom. Wisdom's the key to everything. Wisdom is maybe the most important thing in your life, much more important than intelligence, wisdom. If you apply the wisdom and the things that you're going to learn that are what I call wisdom, you should have a pretty good life. And not just in many ways, mentally, physically, tribalism, and so on. Okay, enough of that. Craig Hain, appreciate you watching the video. And I will probably now see you as a member of the Triad Math Tribe. Here's hoping you have a wonderful life. Bye-bye.